beginning, which was in the 80s, early 80s, we received a $5,000 grant from Lilly Endowment to explore and create a network of food banks across the state of Indiana. One of the things we did after we determined that there was great interest across the state was to apply for a VISTA grant. And that grant brought Craig Brenner.
The Community Action Program basically said, we're going to be the lead agency to organize a food bank in Bloomington. And they gave me the job of helping do that as a VISTA volunteer.
Really, we didn't know that there was that much need for the food. We just knew that the corporate food was available out there, and we wanted to funnel that resource into Bloomington. What was amazing is we had not thought of it before.
I need to explain that the whole concept of food banking was new. I mean, it wasn't that everybody knew what a food bank was or how they operated. It was the concept that needed to be sold. And then the reality that we were making something from nothing.
So that part we had to educate people about, and I think we did so successfully, but it was a little bit of an uphill battle at first.
Hoosier Hills Food Bank was incorporated on November 18, 1982, with a mission of rescuing food and channeling it to people facing hunger.
I was a young mom at the time and concerned about hungry kids and thought food banking sounded interesting, and Craig said, sign up, and so I did.
After a few volunteer-driven years, Amy Robinson was hired as the first executive director, followed shortly by Dan Taylor as the agency's driver and eventual assistant director. By the end of Amy's tenure in 2005, the food bank was distributing over 1.6 million pounds of food each year, became a United Way member agency, started the Soup Bowl benefit, took on the TFAP program, made moves from multiple locations to North Fairview Street, absorbed the loss of its largest food donor, Wetterall, created the Meal Share Prepared Rescue Program, and graduated from a partner distribution agency of Gleaner's Food Bank to a full-fledged member of America's Second Harvest. Julio Alonso took the helm as executive director in 2006 and helped guide tremendous growth in programs and capacity, along with Dan and several other staff members, including Jake Bruner and Casey Sturry, who moved into director roles. Full-time staff roles were created for inventory, agency relations, food sourcing, development, and programs, and more drivers were added. The food bank moved to the current facility on Industrial Park Drive in 2008 and added a second building in 2019. Added the senior food box, food purchasing, mobile pantry, and garden programs. Built up the fleet and donor base. Took on the community book fair. Partnered with the renamed Feeding America and with Feeding Indiana's Hungry. And in 2019, distributed over 5 million pounds of food for the first time. Hoosier Hills was well positioned to respond to the unprecedented surge in need during the COVID pandemic in 2020, and distribution jumped to over 7 million pounds in that year. The COVID response included a major overhaul of procedures, establishing more direct food distributions, as well as supporting nearly 100 agency partners, and continues today. Dan retired in 2021 after 35 years of service, and Jake and Casey moved into greater leadership roles as Hoosier Hills Food Bank continued to develop the newly renamed Dan Taylor Annex. Which brings us to 2022 and Hoosier Hills Food Bank's Ruby Anniversary year. At age 40, our food bank is more relevant, recognized, and capable than ever, and includes a staff, board, volunteer base, agency membership, and local, state, and national partners that are determined to eliminate food waste and food insecurity and are supremely committed to the principle that no person should ever go hungry.
When I hear Hoosier Hills Food Bank, I think about a resource in southern Indiana for so many counties and so many people that need food.
The specific imperative of food is meeting a need that is always with us, and certainly isn't any better right now that as times tighten.
There are 3 million Hoosiers who need help with food, and Hoosier Hills helps donate to smaller pantries that help those 3 million Hoosiers.
The food bank has to be the central aggregator, collector, distributor in order to make best use of opportunities out there with, funding and food resources and all of those things that go into the work that you do.
And when I was a kid, I watched a lot of Mr. Rogers. And one of the things he said was that when there's a catastrophe that's happened or something really, really bad, always look for the helpers. Well, Hoosier Hills is the helper. When everybody says, I'm out of food, most people think, go to Hoosier Hills, call Hoosier Hills. They are the helper. And not only that, Mr. Rogers encouraged us to all be helpers. And I really feel that Hoosier Hills helps us inspire the people who are concerned about food insecurity to be the helpers.
We live in a world, country of plenty. We live in a community of plenty when you take it from a high 50,000-foot view. But we know that there is not plenty everywhere. And Hoosier Hills Food Bank is one of those kind of institutions that tries to help our overall community and culture say, let's make sure some of that plenty gets shared and distributed and moved to the right place. I think if other institutions and direct service families get what they need.
I think of good partners because it's really a great relationship that you have with these agencies in our different counties. And so it's so nice to be able to deal with such a quality institution such as Hoosier Hills Food Bank.
When you see all the pictures and you see everybody involved, you just see the care that everyone is really invested in what you do and providing food. It is, it's a labor of love. It's not a business or a job. It is a matter of love.
I think the trusted partnership from the donor's perspective, really in thinking about knowing that it's being handled very well, efficiently. I think that is very important from the donor's perspective. It's not something that they have to worry about. Will you be stewarding the dollars? There's that trusted partnership.
I don't know if it's a motto or your mission statement of no one going hungry regardless of their background. I actually love that. And I know that is a goal that your volunteers and your staff work toward daily. Children can't learn. People can't look for housing. People can't work efficiently. They can't do things if they're hungry.
What comes to mind for me when I think about the Hoosier Hills Food Bank is that just the volume of food that you all are able to bring into the community to make sure the rest of us can do what we do. Without you, kitchens like us and pantries wouldn't be able to stay open consistently because there just would not be enough donations to make that happen. But also to sort of be sort of the convener and advocate for the rest of us in terms of just policy across the country and in the state. I think you all do a great job of helping us, the rest of us, pay attention to what we should be paying attention to that maybe slips off our radar.
You're a collection point. You also are helping the environment in ways that I don't think people understand as well, because you're taking food that otherwise would perhaps just be dumped and create rot and all kinds of other things that we'd rather not see. And you're actually almost repurposing things the way we'd like to see done in a lot of vein in our community with other things. So I think you provide things that a lot of other people don't realize with what you're doing.
There's a lot that stayed the same, right? The commitment to mission, the drive of those who work in this organization and continue, to come here even maybe for a short period of time and move on and have an impact somewhere else. But I really think that the change I've seen is, right, this ongoing commitment to the way that we approach dealing with those who have food insecurity. And I think back to when maybe I was a younger person and what it how we approach that, right? It was about things that came out of your pantry that lasted a really long time, right? Which of course are incredibly important, right? But people that are food insecure also need fresh produce. They also need so many things, dairy products.
Fresh Food Fridays are the first thing that comes to mind because we as the Board of Commissioners have been here and have been part of that miracle. And it's been a really incredible experience for us. There's meat and there's fresh vegetables and sometimes things like watermelon and strawberries. It's really amazing to have in our community. Well, the line of cars just seems to go on forever. People are so grateful for what this food bank is. They thank us and it's like, we don't deserve the thanks, but they are so grateful to have the ability to find this food in a consistent way throughout the summer.
I like the fresh veggies and the produce and the dairies and the meat and everything. It really helps a lot due to the high prices of gas and food prices. It really helps a lot. And I'm glad we had that extra food to help my family out.
We come here to get assistance with food to help with everything at home, the light bill, the gas, water bill, whatever. We get some for our kids to help them out too. And it's really made a difference in our lives. And we appreciate everything everybody does here for us. I always thank the workers when I come through because I do appreciate what you guys do. I know it's hot out here. I know the lines are long, but people are really patient, and I think that's great. So we're not from Bloomington. We travel from Spencer, but it's well worth our drive.
So many things come to mind when I think about the Hoosier Hills Food Bank, but one of my favorite things is the Soup Bowl every year in February, where we come and make a donation and come home with beautiful bowls, which we have filled with soup.
One of the first things that brings to mind is one of my favorite events of the year, the book fair in October, which was on its way to oblivion until the food bank stepped in and kept it alive. And not only did that, but made it much better and bigger. And I think it's, to me, it's a social event of the fall in Bloomington.
I feel very confident in our future and what we're going to be doing going forward and our success. And I think, honestly, the three of us have a lot to do with the confidence that I have in that. Not to toot our own horns or anything, but we've been through a lot together. We went through a lot together before the pandemic. We've went through a hell of a lot together through the pandemic and a little bit since then. And just the fact that we've been able to navigate through some of those things and the leadership here. We lost someone that was here for over 30 years, and we've made some smooth transitions through that time as well. But I just have a lot of confidence in the leadership that we have. Having said that, obviously the staff that we have, we've got some long tenured staff here, people that are dedicated to the mission, people that want to come to work and do their job in a great way each and every day. We've got a fun staff, a well-trained, well-rounded staff, so that makes me feel confident as well. The fact that there's more awareness about what we're doing gives me confidence in our future too. When I first started here, it was very much grassroots, just the same as with you guys started here. We're now more of a medium-sized organization. People know about food banks and about food insecurity and about saving food. People are interested in that mission. All those things combined give me confidence in our future and make me excited to see what we can do.
I honestly am more confident than I've been in the years that I've worked here. The fact that we've had to deal with the pandemic, we've completely changed our inventory software during the pandemic. We've completely changed the way that we distribute food during the pandemic. The fact that 5 different people's jobs, the titles and responsibilities have changed in the last 2 years just looking at the last 2 years, the amount of change that has happened and that we're thriving, that we just had our biggest month in the history of food banking, of our food banking history, shows that our people, our staff here are dedicated. Our staff are machines, to be honest. The staff we have right now are extremely good at doing their job and extremely good at doing their partner's job. And that's a big thing that we've been focusing on the last few years, is that we're doing a lot of cross training. We're doing a lot of job sharing, so that if somebody needs to take time off for any reason, that somebody else is able to do that person's job and their own. Each and every day gives me more confidence that we're going to thrive. We're going to keep changing. We're going to keep evolving. We're going to keep looking at different ways that we can get more food out, different ways that we can reduce food waste, different ways that we can get more nutritious food, different ways that we can do more routes, different ways that we can help our staff, different ways we can get more volunteers and more community support. So just looking at the last 20 years, there's been so many changes. There's been so many ways that we've expanded, and we've really made food banking really well known.
It's increasingly important for us to be advocates and to engage in more advocacy. You know, I have said for many years that our primary goal is always going to be making sure that the people we're serving have the food that they need today to do what they need to do. And that's never going to change. That's always going to be our top priority. And I've also said that we can't change all of the problems out there that cause people to need our services, because there are so many of them, and that hasn't really changed. There's a wide variety of problems that cause poverty and food insecurity. Another thing that we and people in general, communities learned coming out of the pandemic was that the pandemic itself adversely impacted certain segments of the population worse than others. You know, largely people of color and seniors were hit, and I think that created some awareness that's been the case for a long time with issues like poverty and food insecurity as well, that there are segments of the population that have been impacted more negatively than others. I think it ties into the whole concept of equity. You know, equity is not just about race or color. I think it's become even more important for us to be a voice for the people that we're trying to serve, and to step up the education and advocacy aspect of what we do in order to ultimately start bringing down these numbers. They're not going to come down by themselves. They're only going to come down when policy changes are made. And that doesn't have to be a partisan approach at all. We have to look at all of these issues, and it's legitimate for us to weigh in on the importance of some of these issues and try to get those who have the ability to do something about some of these issues to take some steps to advance policies and processes that are going to alleviate the issues that cause people to need our services so much.
Hunger is such a pernicious and difficult issue, and so personal and painful, knowing that there's a place like Hoosier Hills Food Bank here that is dealing with that in so many ways, locally and regionally. It warms my heart, because that's such a key thing to do for our people.
Well, I think the role of the food bank in our community today is to be that safety net for people where food is scarce for them, and to take away that concern out of their lives. And I think it's really important. The mission that you all have really makes Bloomington the compassionate, welcoming, caring community that we are. And so it's very important work, and we see that every day.
It's certainly a part of the community. I don't see the food bank as being oh, just another agency, because we have a lot of nonprofits, and some of them come and some of them go. But the food bank, it's a staple. It's been here, and they know that the food bank is always going to be here as a resource. At least we hope you're always going to be here as a resource.
We'll continue to be leaders in ending hunger.
We will never falter.
We will be compassionate.
We will continue to help our neighbors.
We will feed our community.
We will persevere.
We will be prepared.
We will take the hunger out of poverty.
We will eliminate food waste.
We will act.
We will help our neighbors.
We will deliver.
We will rescue food.
We will make a difference.
We will come to where you are.
We will always serve our community.
We will work, care, and love. Peace. Nothing's gonna stop us.